Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. Respected listeners, today we read three surahs: Surah Al-Zumar, Surah Al-Mu'min, Surah Hamim Al-Sajdah. All three are of the Meccan period. And in Surah Al-Zumar, in the section that we read today, Allah Azza wa Jal initially speaks about the difference between the believers and the disbelievers. Allah also mentions how if anyone is guided by Allah, no one can misguide them, and if anyone is misguided by Allah, no one can guide them. How the pagans accepted that Allah is the greatest Lord, Allah is the creator and the sustainer of the heavens and the earth. Yet still they worshipped other idols. Allah Azza wa Jalla tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, challenge them and ask them that if Allah was to seek to cause me harm, can all these false gods together repel Allah's harm from me? And on the contrary, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to be merciful to me, can all these false idols and gods together, collectively, prevent Allah's mercy from reaching me? Never. Later on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the reality of the people of Quraysh, the pagan Arabs, in that even though they claim to believe in Allah as a supreme God and as the creator and the sustainer, their behavior was such that it belied this claim of belief in Allah. And their attitude, their actions, and their whole way of life rejected the claim that they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the greatest Lord. Because Allah says that when Allah alone would be mentioned before them, then the Quraysh and those people whose hearts did not believe in the hereafter, their faces and their hearts would shrink in distaste. And when gods besides Allah would be mentioned, they would rejoice. So if they truly believed in Allah and revered Him as they claim they did, then why would their hearts shrink in distaste? Why would they be so intolerant of any mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yet when any God besides Allah would be mentioned, they would be rejoicing and happy. I've commented before on this verse that even though initially the verse was revealed about the pagan Arabs, the mushrikeen, it still applies to us in the sense that we claim to be believers and love Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and live this life of religion. Yet our whole way of life and our attitude belie this claim, because if we truly loved Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as we say we do, and if we were so attached to religion, and if Allah's deen was so meaningful to us, then why is it that when Allah or His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam are mentioned, then people become fidgety, uncomfortable, bored even, and they cannot remain seated for long listening to the Qur'an or the hadeeth or any religious talk, etc. Yet when anything besides religion is mentioned, be it sport, politics, news, entertainment, then, or even just everyday gossip and backbiting, then people can sit around talking and discussing this for endless hours without any pause, without any boredom, without any fatigue whatsoever. Yet the same people, when presented with the words of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they become tired, bored, fidgety, uncomfortable. They remember they've got other things to do. That is not the character of a believer. This is a behavior of a person whose heart does not truly believe in Allah, or whose heart does not believe in the hereafter, as Allah says in this verse. We only have to ask ourselves: sports, news, current affairs, politics, gossip, backbiting, entertainment, be it films, magazines, books, songs, whatever. We can spend endless hours, maybe even all night long, engaged and indulging in such things. Yet, even for a few minutes, we find it difficult to listen with focus and with attention to Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's words. In the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also instructs us instructs His whole creation, that turn to your Lord and submit yourself before Him, before the punishment befalls you. And follow the best of that which has been revealed to you from your Lord before the punishment arrives to you suddenly and you do not even realize. Lest on that occasion someone says that woe be unto me, verily I have been neglectful in my duty towards Allah, and I was one who took everything as a joke. And lest a soul says on that occasion that if only Allah had guided me before this, I would have been one of those of taqwa. Or when they actually see the punishment, someone says that if only I would have another chance and opportunity, then I would do good. On that occasion it shall be announced that nay, my signs came to you, but you rejected them and you were arrogant and you were one of the disbelievers. Allahu Akbar. Allah then speaks about the day of judgment, how the trumpet shall be blown, how the heavens and the earth shall all be destroyed, the trumpet shall be blown, and then people shall rise from their graves and stand before Allah. The earth will light up with the nur and the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the book shall be placed, and the prophets and the martyrs shall be brought, and judgment shall be made between them without anyone suffering any injustice, and every soul shall be repaid in full for what it has done. And then mankind will be divided into two groups. One, the people of Jahannam, who shall be dragged towards Jahannam in zumar, in large groups, in hordes. When they shall arrive at the doors, the gatekeepers of Jahannam, the angels, will say to them that did messengers not come to you, warning you of this day and reciting to you the verses of your Lord? The disbelievers will confess and say, nay, they did come, but we disbelieved, and now the punishment of Allah has become binding upon us. It shall be said unto them that enter the doors of Jahannam to remain therein forever, and this is an evil abode for those who are arrogant. Arrogance leads a person to Jahannam. There's no other place. Twice today we have read verses which speak about Jahannam being the abode of those who are arrogant. This, and before that Allah Azza wa Jal says a few verses before, أَلَيْسَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ مَثْوًى لِلْمُتَكَبِّرِينَ, that is there not an abode for those who are arrogant in the fire of Jahannam. Then in contrast to these hordes of kufr, there will be the second group of mankind, those who are destined to go to Jannah. They will also be taken towards Jannah in large groups and in hordes, in zumar. But they will not be dragged or pushed. Rather, they will be taken with great honour and respect and with great pomp. When they shall arrive at the doors of Jannah, the gatekeepers of Jannah, the angels, will address them, saying to them, Salamun alaykum, peace be unto you. Tibtum, you are pure, therefore enter Jannah forever. And once the people of Jannah have entered, they will say, all praises to that Allah who has fulfilled His promise to us, and who gave us the earth in inheritance, so that we may take a place for ourselves in the gardens of Jannah wherever we may wish. Beautiful is the reward of those who do good. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends this very beautiful surah with this verse saying to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that on that day you shall see the angels surrounding the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hymning the praise of Allah, and justice shall be served to mankind, to all of them, with truth, and it shall be announced that all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. After this, Surah Al-Mu'min was recited. Surah Al-Mu'min is a Meccan surah. It contains many of the topics of the Meccan surahs, but the surah has been named, Surah Al-Zumar was named Zumar because of the hordes that will be taken to Jannah and Jahannam. Surah Al-Mu'min, one of the main topics in here is the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam and his being sent to Fir'aun and his army, and how many events took place between Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun. But in this particular surah, the story has a different twist, which is that Allah Azza wa Jal speaks at length about one of the believers from the people of Fir'aun. Very few people from the people of Fir'aun actually believed. His wife, Fir'aun's wife, believed. The maid of Fir'aun's wife believed. Hazrat Asiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anha was his wife, and her maid, they both embraced the faith of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. There was another man who was a commoner from the people of Fir'aun, who actually accepted the message of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, believed secretly, because at that time he was unable to reveal his faith. And he kept his faith hidden. However, once when people were persecuting Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, refusing to believe in him, he spoke up. He plucked up the courage and in a very brave way, with great courage and valor, he spoke up before his people and told them that why do you not accept the message of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. He advised them and gave them good counsel. Obviously they were shocked and alarmed about what he said, because he was one of them and still believed. After he had given them his advice, they martyred him, they killed him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions his story and the advice that he gave his own people, and the way he eloquently spoke about the faith of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Allah's impending punishment. Allah has quoted that advice in this surah. And the whole surah has been named after him, Surah Al-Mu'min, the believer, meaning not any of the believers of this ummah, but this refers to the believer from the people of Fir'aun. We then read Surah Hamim As-Sajdah. This is a Meccan surah. Again, in the beginning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Qur'an. Then Allah speaks about the good deeds and a few other things of the believers. Allah then speaks about the signs in His creation, how Allah destroyed the people of Ad and Thamud, even though they were so mighty and they were great civilizations, Allah destroyed them. Allah then speaks about the Day of Judgment again, and how every individual's skin and the organs of his body, even his eyes, his ears, and even the skin will testify against him on that day. And people's tongues will be silent for a while, and they will turn to their own bodies and say, how dare you? You are part of us, you are part of me, so how dare you testify against me? So the organs of the body, including the skin, will say that Allah has made us speak. He, that Allah who has caused everything to speak. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also speaks about the disbelievers who would say to one another that do not listen to the Qur'an and create interference therein so that you may be dominant. That if someone's reading the Qur'an, do not listen to it yourself, and also create some din and clamour in the hope that his voice will be drowned and nobody else will be able to listen to the Qur'an. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says such people, Allah will give them a taste of His most severe punishment. These are the enemies of Allah. We also learn from this verse that even as believers, we must ensure that we do not disrespect the Qur'an in any way, ensuring that when the Qur'an is being recited, we listen to it attentively, for that is a farad, and he who does not listen to the Qur'an attentively whilst it is being recited and does not remain silent is sinful, and he is following the way of the disbelievers, who, when the Qur'an was recited, they would create noise, they would cause a commotion, in the hope that the sound of the Qur'an would be drowned out and the Qur'an would not be heard. This is not the way of the believers, but rather the way of the kuffar. Allah speaks about a number of other topics and some of the signs in His creation, and with this we ended today's section of Surah Hamim As-Sajdah. Inshallah, tomorrow we shall be reciting the 25th part of the Qur'an. We only have 6 parts left now. We've almost completed. Well, tomorrow we will be completing 5/6 of the Qur'an, and only 1/6 remains. Most of the remaining surahs are Meccan surahs, so the topics will be similar, though there are a few exceptions where we have Madani surahs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala abdihi wa rasuli nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
This lecture was given by Shaykh Abu Yusuf Riyadh al-Haq and has been presented to you by Al-Kawthar Productions. For further information, additional lectures and books, contact us on 0121 773 5191 or alternatively by post at Al-Kawthar Productions, P.O. Box 6008, Birmingham, B10 0UW, United Kingdom, or visit our website at www.alkawtharacademy.org. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.